Welcome to the Morning Blitz with John Abraham, Captain Cool, and the Bandiman Bailey Lowery. Call into the Neighbors Wealth Management Hotline now, 256-576-4977. That's 256-576-4977. Now, here's Captain Cool.
Hello and welcome in to the Morning Blitz. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman Bailey Lowery to get you guys prepped for everything you need to know going into this week in sports and possibly some gaming. You never know what's going to happen on this show, but a lot of fun stuff to get into, and we are glad you guys are able to join us, whether you're listening on our FM feed, whether you're over on our app 97.7 ESPN The Zone on Apple and Android devices, whether you're over on WZZN TV on YouTube, or, well, you listening afterwards on Spotify. We are glad you're able to join us for a lot of fun to get not only today started for you, but also, well, this entire week. And let me tell you, Bandy, to kind of ease into what we're getting into today, I got to say, this weekend, quite interesting, and not only for me, but it just in sports in general. Myself got to celebrate a birthday with the old lady. Very nice stuff. Got to go around town, experience Huntsville just a little bit more, at least the little bit of the nightlife. Obviously, had to start it out at Hound and Harvest. That place is absolutely amazing. It's such tasty food, and on top of that, some morning mimosas. Why not? You know, just to get the really the festive day started yesterday, of course, being Cinco de Mayo. Bandy, what did you end up doing this weekend, man?
Got to a bit. Was actually got to get him out of golf because actually the weather did hold up this weekend a little bit, so I was able to go out and get some rounds in. Playing in a tournament today, actually a little bit later on, but tore a little skin off my finger on that, so I'm not used to it.
Place you on the IR too.
Yeah, I'm not used to it anymore. So I mean, there's going to be a little bit of a handicapped bandy going into later today, but also kind of kept up because a lot of pop culture news kind of took over my feed with what's been going on with Kendrick Lamar and Drake. I mean, that's been all what my friends have been talking about. What's all I've been seeing on the news. I mean, like. It took a backseat to sports for me this weekend because of how invested I got. But
yeah. That's an afternoon blitz type of story, Bandy.
Yeah,
I will.
But I mean, we're witnessing a downfall of Drake in real time, and it's honestly kind of great to see.
Yeah, it's definitely a very interesting everything that's going on, really, Bandy. And one thing I was interested in more than usual, even though I didn't actually catch it live, but I think I'm gonna start watching a little bit more, is the Kentucky Derby. It's something that I don't really get into too much.
Well, hey, you did more than the people who actually went there.
Yeah. This is the thing. When I was younger, I was like, oh, this is a cool little event. You know, we get to see horse racing for, 2 minutes and then we're done. And then we look forward to next year. We don't even think about horse racing in general. This is actually a thing that goes like almost year round, okay? This is something that's super interesting. There's tracks all around the country. I don't know too much about it, as you can probably tell. I did catch the highlights of it afterwards, and I gotta say, this... similar to NASCAR, Bandy, I love speed, all right?
Okay.
And when you see these horses just, like, going as fast as they can, what's that one movie that they threw at us when we were younger, whenever the girl was riding the zebra, I think, in horse racing? It's a movie.
Okay, now I'm confused. I was thinking of Seabiscuit.
I think it's like Racing Stripes or whatever. That might be the thing. But you kind of look at this whole thing, and, of course, it had to be the coolest of the names, lined up as these horses. But it is so gritty. And it is so fast, it is so intense, and I gotta admit, Bandy, this is something I'm gonna start getting into, going into, of course, next year, because I'm not gonna watch it all season long. That's just not something I do. But it was pretty fun. And seeing the horses, pushing each other around, pretty much. I don't know why. I haven't got into it until now, but I gotta admit, it's something I'm definitely going to get into. As we saw, what was the name of the horse that won, dude? That's the problem with me. They have such interesting names. It was something Dan. Oh, dang it.
Natty Dan?
No, it wasn't Natty Dan. I'll probably hear from it. Mystic Dan. That was the name.
Dan.
Mystic Dan.
Ooh.
Okay, he was able to come in first, and then behind him was a few other dudes. It was an amazing finish, I gotta admit, but I've already forgot about it because I was watching NASCAR as well, and I gotta admit, Bandy, RFK Racing right now is on a certain type of watch, okay, because they had the win, okay, in Kansas. And we talked about NASCAR for a whole segment last week, and it made me super happy. And we were able to get into a lot of big things, okay? But you get Chris Buescher leading the charge on the last few laps going into overtime Overtime starts. Chris Buescher takes the lead. Kyle Larson's right behind him. Denny Hamlin was also in the fray for a majority of this race. On top of that, Ross Chastain was involved. And you kind of look around, you get a few other dudes. The surprise, of course, always being Noah Gragson. And also getting to see the rookie Carson Hocevar get up there as well. We got to see a little bit of 9 and 10 action from those two. So surprising stuff. Gragson gets a top 10 finish. We get down to the end of the last lap. Chris Buescher's leading. But you know damn well, ain't nobody going to give those Fords an easy win. And with Kyle Larson right next to him, a person that, mind you, my old lady who loves NASCAR just picked up because, he was doing so good. And it turns out he's actually a very nice dude. She picks him up the week before in fantasy racing. This race goes down. We're out partying all night long. And we get a little bit of, we stop at a place called Melt, all right? Melt Huntsville, you know of it, okay? Yeah. And they thankfully have NASCAR everywhere, all around us, so we're getting to see the whole race go down. It finally gets to the end of it, and wouldn't you know, Ford loses, gets second place, Kyle Larson gets yet another win in the season, and we look back to all of the controversy that we got, Bandy. If you look, the amount of pictures that have been posted afterwards about how the track is, like whenever they get past the finish line's not straight. The area where Chris Buescher actually crossed the line, it's pushed back probably, I would say, an inch and a half maybe. And it's something you can't tell whenever it's actually going down. I for real thought that Chris Buescher won the race. Even his own team thought he won the race. Everybody was so happy. Yeah.
Oh.
I know. And it turns out
that's not even subtle.
Yeah, the line that is kind of protruding, that Kyle Larson was able to touch before Chris Buescher, isn't even the official line. So a lot of controversy going over there. Love NASCAR, always fun. It was an amazing finish, pushing back and forth. Kyle Larson getting a little too aggressive at times, but he's trying to get the win again. But they hold out again and beat Ford, and I don't think Ford has wins in, 32 races across all of the different series in NASCAR. So, whoa, what a wonderful time to be alive if you're a Ford fan. I am definitely upset about it, I got to admit. And I couldn't be too hard on my girl, though. I couldn't be too hard on my girl.
Couldn't be too hard.
It was her birthday.
It was her birthday.
It was her birthday.
I'm kind of with you though, with the NBA scores. 'Cause I love basketball, and we got to catch some good playoff basketball last night. We got round 2 series starting, and then the Cavs Magic series actually finished up in Game 7.
Yes, it
did.
did.
With Donovan Mitchell saying, "Hey, I'm tired of losing," and closing out that last Game 7 performance. Again, 39 points, 9 rebounds, coming from the former Jazz man.
Just go straight to the clapping.
You know what? Good for him.
I
want to talk about another former Jazz man that I'm a bigger fan of.
Okay.
Which is the Timberwolves getting the Game 1 win over the Denver Nuggets. Rudy Gobert and Anthony Edwards. Anthony Edwards with 43 points against the Nuggets.
Very nice.
This is the son of Michael Jordan. Again, Drake was talking. Kendrick was talking about Drake hiding his son, hiding a kid. No, Michael Jordan has been hiding Anthony Edwards from us.
Golly.
Yes, because plays that same kind of old school ball. You're just driving the paint, and you were able to just out athletic everybody. But then you got the complementary piece in Rudy Gobert, Karl Anthony Towns over on the side defending the post, and they actually kind of shut down Jokic and Aaron Gordon a little bit in the paint.
Yeah, and that's a surprise right there. This is the Denver Nuggets we're talking about. We're not talking about any other team.
Yeah. And I'm still saying they shut down Jokic when he drops 32.
Yeah.
With 9 assists, 8 rebounds, that's kind of like a light shutdown. You can't really shut down Jokic. You can just kind of hope to contain him.
Yeah, this is the NBA. The players are going to score big points even if you shut them down. But definitely some good stuff from the Timberwolves. And I will say, I watched the Cavs finish off the Magic at Baumhauer's because I was all over the place yesterday. I swear, baby. I was everywhere. So that was a very nice environment. I told him to turn on the race as well. It was delayed. It was in a rain delay, as most of South was. But, whatever. We still got to see the finish in that. But then you look over at the other games that are going down in the NBA and also what we get to look forward to today, of course. The Pacers and the Knicks going to be a big game right there.
That's going to be a great series.
Cavaliers and the Celtics, Bandy. We're going to get a little bit. I know. It's not a good look for the Cavaliers. It's going to be a tough one. But this, for me, you think back to early 2010s, this is a beautiful, beautiful matchup to have.
It is a beautiful matchup. These are not the same teams that were there 10 years ago.
No,
sadly to say, we're not watching that Kevin Garnett, Paul George, Ray Allen big three against a rookie LeBron or very early on LeBron just making a name for himself. sadly not watching that series anymore. Instead, we got to watch Donovan and Jason Tatum kind of go at it. And in my opinion, this is probably like maybe the Mavericks Thunder might prove me wrong, but I think this might be the most boring series.
Yeah, I'm hopeful, that Cleveland can do something. But if they don't, it's totally fine. I still got the Knicks in this thing, and if the NBA doesn't go my way, it's totally fine. Because on the other end, in the NHL side, Mandy, we were hyping it up so much, and we're going to talk about it a little bit in the next segment about how terrible the playoffs are for this Toronto Maple Leafs team. And I know, I was upset. I was thinking that the Bruins were going to lose in Game 7 2 years in a row after being up 3-1. And you know what?
That's a very weird situation to find yourself in.
3
times in a row.
I'm kind of calming down now, all right? I'm kind of calming down. And I got to say, I'm sorry for you Maple Leafs fans. I'm so inconsiderate of you guys not being able to really win in the playoffs and get to the Stanley Cup and win the Stanley Cup since the 60s. I am so sorry. But we get to kind of just, throw that out there a little bit more. As well as, why not, talk a little bit about Tom Brady's little roast that he had on Netflix yesterday, maybe. We got to see the typical contenders. Julian Edelman was there. Of course, the big Gronk himself, spiking a glass of a shot glass. Wonderful stuff. Can't wait to see when he gets a child. It's going to be terrible. Tom Brady, of course, throwing out the deflate gate. And on top of that, Bill Belichick gets his ass up on stage after getting ridiculed for not having a job from one of his former players. Come on now. That's a low ball, Edelman. But we got to hop into a break, Bandy. A lot more.
97.
Including Drudy Arman at 9:30 to talk a little bit of Crimson Tide sports here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandiman. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
The right time. Visit our website at visittoc.com for more information. TOC, helping you live a better life.
By now, you know about Eagle Masonry and Insulation, and maybe you know that Eagle also does landscaping and dirt work. But how about after paint work? Shower doors, shelving, and mirrors, all taken care of by Eagle, the same Eagle that takes care of all your masonry, insulation, and landscaping needs. Eagle brings the same level of expertise to all these disciplines, and they're ready to provide you with a free quote. The website is the same, insulatewitheagle.com, as is the phone number, 256-755-1556. Give them a call and see what Eagle can do for you. Eagle saves you time. Eagle saves you money.
It's a beautiful day for a ball game.
Here it comes, and there it goes. Fly ball, deep left field, way back. This one is up. This one is gone.
Grab your peanuts and Cracker Jacks and get ready to cheer on the Tide.
Called third strike, a slider lower inside corner.
The Tide plays here all season long.
Here's a spin. Here's Bowman's throw home. The slide, and he's safe.
On your home for Alabama baseball, the Crimson Tide Sports Network from Learfield.
I'm attorney Gary Lackey. If you've been injured and need a lawyer right now, do you know who you really get?
I'm attorney Jennifer Lackey. You want to talk to your lawyer. My clients talk to me.
And me. I'm attorney Justin Lackey. We're the ones that you talk to.
And we're the ones who handle your personal injury case.
And we'll take care of it.
The Lackey Law Firm. 1-800-4RIGHTS.
No representation is made that the quality of the legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
When I chose a garage door company, I did my homework. I needed Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. They have a 5-star Google rating. I checked their reviews and liked what their customers had to say. Precision Overhead Garage Door has lifetime warranty packages. Same-day service if I call before 2 p.m. If they can't make it the same day, my service call fee the next day is waived. They did a 25-point safety inspection on the door and operator. Now that's peace of mind. Residential, commercial, and gate services. Precision Overhead Garage Door Service. Call 256-400-4500.
There's nothing better than a perfect cookie loaded with the finest all-natural premium ingredients. And you'll find these perfect cookies baked fresh every day at Cookie Fix. Choose from rotating flavors like classic chocolate chip, cranberry jumble, oatmeal toffee, and many others. Or take home one of their dough-to-go selections and bake them fresh at home. Cookie Fix also has cookie cakes for special celebrations, and they offer catering and shipping. Find out more and order online at cookiefix.com. In Twickenham Square, 300 Pelham Avenue. Cookie Fix. Grab some cookies and spread some smiles.
SportsMed is the official team physicians of the Rocket City Trash Pandas. And if the pros trust SportsMed, you can too. SportsMed provides every service you might need for complete orthopedic care, specializing in orthopedic surgery, sports medicine, joint replacement, spine surgery, neurosurgery, and podiatry. And they offer their own brace shop, in-house full-body MRI, physical therapy, walk-in clinic, and so much more. 4 locations and on the web at sportsmedalabama.com.
From Coleman to Fayetteville and all points in between.
Son, pull the hammer back. Smokey's coming at you in a plain white wrapper.
97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
I'm telling you, Bandy. RFK Racing right now is they're currently playing the Boulevard of Broken Dreams just on repeat, non-stop. I mean, it's just ridiculous.
Okay, you actually want to know what I found out this weekend about racing?
What did you find out about racing this week?
So it turns out there's a NASCAR Discord channel that I found out that's open to the public.
Really?
Officially sanctioned by them.
Okay.
And what it does, it's like a personalized thing where you can actually listen in to like the crews. And
okay.
So, like on the call while you're watching the race.
That's like you're fully involved into the NASCAR whenever you got the Discord open and you're listening into the crews. I mean, that's some stuff. And on top of that, the NASCAR app, you're able to keep track of every single guy. This is not sponsored. You're able to keep track of every single guy's camera while they're doing it live. You only got to worry about a few ads.
But hey, you got a favorite player? They got like a dedicated channel for it. You can just hop in.
Very nice. That's what I like to hear. But also what I like to hear is the Bruins going on to round 2. What I don't like to hear is that they have to play up against the Florida Panthers. Help me, please. But also, I can't complain too much because we're getting sent to the round 2 while we look at the Maple Leafs right now and their terrible history of playoff losses. And, Mandy, let's just kind of go down. Because, I mean, this team, the Maple Leafs are historically good, all right? This is a historically amazing, franchise. You think about them. They're one of those true blue teams in the NHL, okay?
But you're telling me they haven't won a championship since the 60s?
And that's the tough thing right now, all right? We saw Florida teams making it to the Stanley Cup. They were able to win. American teams have been winning for a while now, and we look back at the past in the few years that, the Maple Leafs have been able to make it to the playoffs and make something happen, and they just have not done anything. 2024, of course, lost in round 1. 0 playoff wins altogether, all right? No round wins, all right? That's all that I mean by that. Then last year, they went 50-21 and 11 with their ties, of course, going into overtime. They lost in the conference semifinals. They had 1 round win, so good for them. They were actually able to get past the team. 2022, lost in the first round. 2021, lost in the first round. 2020, lost in the qualifying round. The same thing happened for 3 years prior to that. Then 3 years prior to that, all the way up until 2014, they missed the playoffs. They made it in 2013. And then prior to that, they missed it. And then 2004 was the last time they went. And then there's a whole list of them winning 1, winning 2 rounds, and then winning no rounds as well. And then it goes all the way down, the same storyline, Bandy, all the way down past the 70s. Keep it going. Yep. 1967 was the last time this team won the Stanley Cup final. And I know it's a difficult task, and it's a totally difficult thing to do, all right? Teams make it to the playoffs every once in a while. They sometimes don't go back. This is a team that has gone to the playoffs how many times?
A lot.
73 times in franchise history. They've had 106 seasons. That's a good percentage, I will say, Bandy.
Yeah, because what is it? Like the curse of Bills Mafia of not winning a Super Bowl in forever.
No.
We have just been the Toronto Maple Leafs have just kind of slid under our radar.
Yeah, the Bills were just a joke. at the butt of the Dallas Cowboys, able to win a bunch of different Super Bowls, and then the Bills were that team that was able to go to a bunch straight and not win any. Ever since then, though, they've kind of made it to the playoffs. Obviously, as of late with Josh Allen, they've been able to get back. But you don't think about the Bills being an actual contender in the early 2000s and all that stuff. And that's the same how I feel about my Cleveland Browns. This isn't a team that teases me that, oh, this is a great squad. This is a team that tells me we're not good, but we will be good one day, and you're going to at least see one Super Bowl in your lifetime. And you're going to love it.
I'm waiting on that moment for the Jazz, dude. I am waiting on it.
We're not going to be greedy, though. We're not going to be greedy. And it helps out.
I kind of want to be greedy.
It helps out, Bandy, when we have an amazing college team in the form of the Alabama Crimson Tide, able to do something in each one of their sports, whatever. Obviously, the football team is the team that we're looking at going into the first season with Kalen DeBoer. A lot of excitement around that squad. On top of that, you see Rob Vaughn, what he's doing with this baseball team. Of course, it's been a little bit disappointing in conference play as they're coming off of that 1-2 loss to Mississippi State. But still, first season, top 25 for a majority of the year? Gotta say.
And I don't know. Would I say arguably? I would just say probably the best conference in baseball.
Yeah, I mean it is. It's
the best conference in baseball.
We can agree on that. And on top of
definitely
that,
the toughest to play in. Oh my gosh.
And on top of that, and we can talk about, of course, the softball team. Going in as the 9th seed for the SEC softball tournament. That's going to be exciting to see. But on top of that, though, it's the basketball team that a lot of people are really yearning for. And we will get into a conversation with Drew DeArmond about what this basketball team and Nate Oates are really putting together down in Tuscaloosa, because they really are bringing in the talent more than we could see really from Alabama. Although Alabama has a top recruiting class, Bandy, it's going to be tough to really ask anybody out in public, hey, who is Alabama picked up that's really going to change this team? And there are plenty of players, don't get me wrong. But there's none of those big names that you're really thinking, oh, this guy, this one dude is really going to be that guy that's going to turn this team around. It's a bunch of those fundamental pieces that you need to structure your team around. And that's what I'm loving to see. And on top of that, Alabama's still trying to get in new recruits even after the transfer portal has closed. That's just how it is. They're going to be signing papers. They're going to be writing a bunch of paperwork. They're going to be throwing it at the universities, and they're going to be in Tuscaloosa by the beginning of the season, and hopefully earlier than that, so they can actually get some practice in. But that's what I'm going to talk about with Drew DeArmond in the upcoming segment. Baney, I'm looking very much to it, and it's going to be a lot of fun, honestly, Bandy.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, I can't wait to get into it.
You know what just popped up on my timeline, because everything leads back to the Cleveland Browns?
Yeah, what's up, dude?
We have ex-Browns and Texans running back Duke Johnson has retired from the NFL.
Wow.
Played 8 seasons, with the Houston Texans, with the Bills, and of course, drafted by the Cleveland Browns in 2015 out of Miami. That's it. You got any feelings about Duke Johnson?
I actually remember when he was drafted, Bandy, and I actually could have told you where he was drafted from, because I remember just that time period of whenever Browns players were coming in. I was just really hot on them. Yeah. He did a little bit for the team, but as most of the guys do, they go a few years and then they're out of there, and then we get a Nick Chubb in there, and then we forget about the past, and we have a wonderful time. Except for Jerome Harrison. We don't forget about Jerome Harrison.
You don't forget about Jerome?
Never forget about Jerome Harrison. On top of that, of course, the Jim Brown himself.
Yes.
Bandy, we watched some bad baseball over the weekend, all right? Atlanta Braves did not fare too well against the Los Angeles Dodgers, okay? But we can look forward to the Braves baseball tomorrow. And you know what? Maybe people are pretty happy, that they're not able to watch some of this baseball, because it wasn't the best showing. But we're able to look forward to what the Braves are going to be going up against this week. Of course, they'll be facing off against the Red Sox. I always love to see the Red Sox lose. These will be home games. They'll have 2 against them, and then they'll move on to play up against the Mets in a 3-game series throughout the week. It's going to be wonderful, and you'll be able to listen to every little bit of it on 97.7 ESPN The Zone. But, Bandy, we got to hop into a break, because when we come back, we're getting into a little bit more of the Alabama discussion, as a lot of Alabama talk is going on around, really all different sides of athletics in 2024. So that's what's coming up with Drew DeArmond from Talking Ball here on the Morning Blitz on 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandiman. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
Relationships. I know because everyday families call us for help, stressed to no end because of a timeshare they were misled into buying and can't even use. Some people even get second jobs or come out of retirement just to pay for fees that go on forever. I founded Wesley Financial Group with one goal in mind, to help good folks out of bad timeshare deals. And our mission is working. To date, we've helped over 40,000 families achieve timeshare freedom. Give me a call. I guarantee if we take you as a client, we'll get you out of your timeshare or you'll pay nothing.
Call now for your free exit info kit. 800-420-2255. 800-420-2255. 800-420-2255.
Have you ever turned your back on God? Have you ever absolutely known the right thing to do and just turned around and walked away in disobedience? I know that I have. Aren't we thankful for our great and merciful God who loves us and forgives us and remembers our sin no more? I'm so thankful that His mercies are fresh every day. I need that, and I suspect you do too. Hey, I'm John Dees, pastor of Cross Point Church, and if you're looking for a church home, come see us. We're smack dab across the street from the YMCA in Madison, and check us out at cpcfamily.org.
From heirloom diamonds to contemporary jewels, Loring & Company is the place to find something truly special. Whether shopping for a diamond ring for that once-in-a-lifetime occasion or marking a milestone birthday or personal achievement with a Rolex watch, you'll find just the thing in our edit of the world's most sought-after brands, including David Yurman, Roberto Coin, Marco Bicego, and Fopay. Expect a treasure trove of the world's most unique, even breathtaking earrings, rings, necklaces, and bracelets, making choosing just one piece a challenge in itself. Loring & Company Jewelers on Airport Road.
Each week, check out our latest Zone deal online at 977ESPN.com.
I'm eating good food.
We are 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Hello and welcome back in to the Morning Blitz, presented by the wonderful people over at Fleming Roofing and Restoration. The guys you need to talk to about all of your roofing needs. If you're having any roofing problems, make sure you look them up online at FlemingHSV.com to fill out your free quote today. And remember that Fleming always shows up, and you're going to need them because, of course, it's going to be raining quite a bit this week. But it's not going to be raining on the UAH Chargers softball team because we just got some big news in. And to help deliver that news is one Mr. Drew DeArmond from Talkin' Ball. Drew, how you doing today, man?
We're doing well, guys. Good to be with you. And Scott and I kind of talked about this on Talkin' Ball at the very end of the segment. It was going to be a headline for us heading into tomorrow. But really proud for UAH and Coach Les Studeman. She's joined us the last couple of weeks, courtesy of Sports Med Surgery and Spine Center. And they, of course, were in the Gulf South Conference tournament, out at Chocolaco Park in Oxford, Alabama this past week. They went 2-2. and they were trying to repeat. They won the tournament a year ago to win their way in, and they controlled their own destiny. This time, a little nerve-wracking. They went, they did not win the tournament, but they still punch a bit. And really, we all thought it was mystifying. They were not, in the latest poll of the top 8 as far as region rankings, even though they played a tough schedule. Even though their record overall was good, they had gotten off to a slow start, though, in conference play, and I know that made Coach a little nervous, but they finished really strongly, and they will be making their 21st consecutive national appearance as they will be the 6th seed, and will probably be the toughest regional in Division II softball, but certainly because, the Gulf South Conference is probably the best league overall. And then with softball being so heavily weighted down south. But again, UAH and Coach Studeman, 21 in a row, man.
That's insane.
What a level of consistency for that program. And they will be marching on to the national tournament and the regionals coming up.
Yeah, no doubt about that. We'll leave the rest of this storyline for you guys tomorrow.
6th seed in the South region.
That's big stuff from UAH ladies softball. Good stuff from them. But moving over to Alabama softball, of course, we got the lineup now for the SEC tournament. Alabama sitting at a 9th seed playing up against the LSU and 8th seed, and Tennessee gets pole position as we go into it. Just talk a little bit about the softball in the SEC and how competitive it really is this season.
Well, it's the best league in the country. I don't think there's any doubt about that. And then it'll get even tougher next year with Texas and Oklahoma coming in. Yeah. Oklahoma, of course, being the powerhouse that they are, and really the best program in the country, joining the rest conference in the country. It's going to make it even tougher. No question about that. But certainly the SEC tournament is really an extremely tough league. It's an extremely tough tournament, no doubt about it. And Alabama will be taking the field. They will be playing in the 8-9 game against LSU. They're the 9 seed, LSU the 8. That will be a 10 a.m. game for Alabama. And then, of course, as we said, going on from yesterday, the key is going to be for Alabama. They're going to have to pitch well. This is not a very good offensive team. It's probably the poorest that Alabama has been offensively that I can remember. But their RPI is really good. They've beaten some good teams. Just a few days ago, they did win Game 3, 1-0 against Tennessee, and were able to take a game from the top seed in the tournament. So they only won one series, I believe, all regular season in the conference, which is Ole Miss. And Ole Miss, has struggled this year, no doubt about it. But this tournament is always it always helps get you ready for the postseason as far as regionals go. Alabama's still going to be a regional participant like UAH. I don't think they'll host like they usually do. I'll be surprised at that unless they make a run in this thing. And the thing about the softball tournament that's a little different is it's a single elimination. Like there's no double elimination like the baseball tournament when you have the drop dead games, and then you have teams going to what you call the double elimination portion of the tournament, where you have 2 games that you have to lose before you're eliminated. In the softball tournament, it's single elimination, no doubt about that. And so Alabama's going to have a long road, and certainly, but they will be in that 8-9 game. No doubt about it, and if they win, guess what? They get Tennessee, which would be another 10 a.m. game. And you'll hear all those games here on 97.7 The Zone. Of
course, yeah.
The Alabama games. But 10 a.m. if they win on Thursday. Wednesday is for a 10 a.m. spot against LSU. But if they win that game, it'll be a 10 a.m. matchup with top seed Tennessee, who, as we said, they dropped 2 out of 3 in Tuscaloosa just a few days ago. But Alabama's won this thing, in 98, 2003, 05, 2010, 12, and then hosted it and won it in 22. So they've won it before. So Murphy's had a lot of success in the tournament, but going to be interesting to see if they can get past 8 seed LSU.
Yeah, no doubt about that. Drew DeArmond from Talking Ball is our guest, and the single elimination makes it just that much more interesting, in my opinion. But moving over to a little bit of the transfer recruiting news. Hey, one of the thoughts that you had from last week actually came into play.
Yep.
Kind of talk about Alabama's newest addition on the basketball court.
Yeah, no doubt. It's a huge addition, literally and figuratively. It's Cliff Amore, who I think was the best rim protector in the transfer portal. 6'10", 245-pound guy from Rutgers. He was a 4-year starter there. One of the best shot blockers in the country. Averaged 10, 8, and about close to almost 3 blocks per game. Great athlete. A better player than Charles Bediako, who did a hell of a job for Alabama for 2 years, especially when they were the number 1 seed overall last season. But he ended up going pro. Alabama never really replaced him. Now they get Cliff Amore for a year. He has a 5th year left. He's the rim protector Alabama has been targeting and wanting since they lost Charles a year ago. So it's huge. Yeah. I mean, there's no doubt about it. It was the biggest need for Alabama going into the offseason. They did have to retool their roster and basically are going to be bringing in 7 other new players along with Cliff. But he was the biggest piece from a perspective of being able to get better defensively. And I think they're still going to be old. They're still going to have 5th-year seniors, like Chris Youngblood, like Grant Nelson, potentially Mark Sears. We'll see if he returns. Certainly Houston Millette is another one from Pepperdine that's an older guy, an older player. So they're gonna have some older guys, Latrell Wrightsell, on the team. So they're gonna have experience, but then they're also gonna have some really good young talent with LeBaron Philon, Darion Reed, Aiden Sherrill, who's going to be a very, very good player, no doubt about it, and Nas Cunningham. So it's going to be a mix on that roster of experience and youth. Now it's going to be up to Nate Oates and his coaching staff to get everybody on the same page. But if Jaron Stevenson returns as anticipated, he and Grant Nelson will be your stretch 4s, and then Mark Sears would be the cherry on top. And if Mark returned, I think they're the best team in the country. I know there'll be some that have Kansas number 1, and Kansas has a lot of people returning, and have added several from the transfer portal. But I think Alabama's roster would match up with any in college basketball, and probably be the most talented Alabama roster from 1 to 13 that I've ever seen. But again, you got to see how they play together. The chemistry and everybody buying in and playing their roles for Nate Oates. And Nate, 2 years ago they didn't have great chemistry, but they did have really good chemistry. And I guess I should say 3 years ago, but 2 years ago, going into the season, they added Brandon Miller. They added a lot of young guys and had some returnees, and they had good chemistry. And then again this past season, they were a little bit limited. They didn't have a rim protector, but it was turbulent. But I think Nate Oates did a great job of keeping this team together. I do think they had much better chemistry than they did the 2 years before. So 3 years ago, chemistry issues. 2 years ago, they were the number 1 team in the country, and then this past year, they end up going to the Final Four with probably his least talented team. So this team will probably be, and I know it will be 1 through 13, even more talented than the 2 that won the SEC regular season in year 2, and then won it and the tournament, and then did the same, repeated it in its year 4. Both those teams went to the Sweet 16. Yet the team that maybe wasn't as talented but came together, had the best draw, they went to the Final Four. But certainly talent wins out. You got to have dudes. And Alabama, if they get Jaron Stevenson and Sears back with what they've put together, these 11 guys, they'll have supreme depth, man. They'll have 2 people at every spot, and in some cases 3 along that perimeter. And it's just going to be a fact of coming together as a squad, buying in, understanding that you're not going to get as many minutes as you might elsewhere, but the common goal is to win a national championship, return to the Final Four, and maybe you'll be a little fresher, maybe you won't have as much wear and tear on your body, and winning earns notice, and hopefully these guys, like if Sears were to return, it can enhance his value potentially to play professional basketball. Certainly can help Jaron Stevenson, even though he's going to get some feedback this year. And certainly, guys like the younger guys like Darion Reed, who I know is a top 20 player in the country, Aiden Sherrill. If you're playing on a team like this, then of course you're going to get showcased, you're going to get noticed, and then you got a chance to reach the NBA. Now, I think some of them need to understand, and LeBaron Philon as well. A lot of these guys, you're not going to be one and dones, man. You got to understand those guys are rare. The Brandon Millers don't grow on trees. Now, could Darion Reed and Aiden Sherrill, could they be a Noah Clowney, a one and done that's 18 years old and does enough to impress NBA people to garner a first-round draft choice late in the first round? Maybe. But you also need to know that sometimes playing 2 years of college basketball isn't a bad thing. Kyra Lewis did it, and that was mainly because of age, because he was not old enough yet when he reclassified. But Jaron Stevenson did, yet he is old enough to take a look. I still think with Jaron, he's going to be better off being a 3 or 4 year player and continuing to develop, and he'll have a chance to be a pro, because a lot of times I know people want to go pro as early as possible, because when you're 18, you get to your first big contract still in your early 20s, but you also want to go and stay in the league, because it's about longevity and playing as long as you can. And whether it's at 18 or 21, 22, you need to make that decision, but and make it wisely. Now I think the ideal situation is to play 1 or 2 years and end up in the NBA, but that's going to depend a lot on the talent coming out in your class. Like, for example, this year's NBA draft is supposedly the weakest in a long, long time.
Yeah, definitely doesn't have the hype as last year.
Yeah,
no.
It's like you're following the one with Wembanyama, and it's kind of hard to follow that one up.
No, I mean, so we'll see, but but if Alabama has a lot of success as a team, certainly that means guys are playing well, and you're going to get recognition, and that's what Cliff Amore, if he were a first round draft choice or a legit NBA prospect right now, where he wanted his stock, he would never have gone into the portal. He would have just moved on to the NBA after 4 years at Rutgers. He knew that he needed to enhance his stock. The Rutgers program was good, not great. And as he's put it, he thinks Alabama can help him get to the NBA, and I do too. I mean, there's a lot of rim runners in the NBA, rim protectors. That's what they're looking for now. They're not really looking for true post guys. He fits what Alabama does perfectly, and they can be mutually beneficial to each other. Yeah. He can help increase his stock, and then he can potentially help be the missing piece to help Alabama reach a second straight Final Four and potentially win their first ever national championship.
That's what I love to hear from Drew DeArmond talking ball, presented by Mercury Motors and Alumni Hall. Drew, great stuff as always, man. Can't wait to talk with you on Wednesday. What can we look forward to next time we get you back on?
Yeah, there's no doubt. We'll be definitely keeping our eye on the transfer portal football-wise. I think Alabama's about to get Deshaun Jones from Wake Forest, and he'll probably be their final piece at corner. Now they're still pursuing King Mack from Penn State, maybe as a safety addition. They're still looking for another piece, I think, along the offensive line. We'll see what happens with Khalil Jacobs, the transfer from South Alabama. He did not make the trip this weekend to Tuscaloosa, as had been reported last week that he was going to happen. Didn't happen. Also didn't go to Missouri, only went to Auburn. So now those two visits to Missouri and Alabama are supposedly happening this week. But we caught Nicole Pinkston on Talking Ball this morning from Auburn Live on 3. He thinks Auburn's got 6 or 7 pieces left, or spots left. Alabama supposedly only got 2 or 3, so they're really down to the final pieces. We'll be monitoring that. I'm sure we'll speak on that. And then Alabama's got their last home baseball series of the weekend. They had a tough weekend in Starkville. They lost 2 out of 3, but they won on Sunday. Half the team had food poisoning, and they didn't have some regulars in the lineup for much of the weekend, so that was tough against a good Mississippi State team. Hopefully they'll have everybody back, because they're playing a ranked Troy team on the road for their last midweek game of the season. And then they're hosting LSU, who took 2 out of 3 from Texas A&M, who was ranked number 1. So no rest for the weary for the Tide.
Good stuff from Drew DeArmond. You guys can catch him on Talking Ball 7 to 9. Alabama has had a tough time with in-state teams during the weekdays, but it's going to be interesting what they can do against, of course, the upcoming Troy and LSU matchups. We got to hop into a break. When we come back, a little bit of reaction. You guys call into the show. 256-5764
97.7
is the number to get into the Morning Blitz here on 97.7 ESPN, The Zone.
97.7 ESPN The Zone is the Tennessee Valley's #1 destination for the finest in sports talk all day long. Tune in to Talkin' Ball with Scott Tyson and Drew DeArmond each morning at 7. Then, the Morning Blitz with Captain Cool and the Bandiman. At noon, it's the Tom Abraham Show, followed by Paul Feinbaum and The Drive with Wes Neighbors and Steve Moulton. The Zone is also your home for University of Alabama and UAH sports, plus the Atlanta Braves and the High School Sports Streaming Network. And sister station Talk Radio WZZN has Trash Pandas action with Josh Carey all season long. 97.7 ESPN The Zone and Talk Radio WZZN. Listen on the air or download the apps and take them with you everywhere.
Anderson Ford. Bobby White and his team take great pride in their service department, and you can see it the moment you walk into those beautiful new service lanes. And just like a championship team, they all work together to make sure your experience is second to none, whether you drive a Ford or not. Also, check out the gold certified pre-owned inventory at Woody Anderson Ford for great deals every day. Stop by and see them at Jordan and Sparkman or at Woody Anderson of Madison on Hughes Road, or visit WoodyAndersonFord.com.
At Bad Daddy's Burger Bar, we love baseball almost as much as we love serving up the best and baddest burgers around. People have called our burgers totally insane. And at Bad Daddy's, we take that as a compliment. But it's not just burgers. Up first, starters like our fried pickles, wings, or poblano frites. Second, try one of Bad Daddy's giant chopped salads. Third, our famous chef-inspired burgers with lots of different taste options. And before you head home, finish up with one of our shakes or delicious banana pudding. Bad Daddy's Burger Bar on the Parkway in Huntsville and Clift Farm in Madison.
Hi, my name is Dan Aldridge. I'm here to let you know about the Aldridge Law Firm and the soon-to-be-announced Legal Town Center. I've been practicing law in Alabama since 1984, and I also practice in Tennessee. And I'm from North Alabama, and I'm here to represent you and take care of your legal needs. For many of us, hiring an attorney is not high on the priority list, and maybe a little scary. But it's something that we all need at some point. So by all means, do your homework. And if you need representation for car accident, wrongful death, medical malpractice, nursing home abuse, or estate planning, or any other matter, just give us a call at 256-534-3188. And you can email me at Dan, that is Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. Dan at danaldridgelaw.com. God bless America.
No representation is made that the quality of legal services to be performed is greater than the quality of legal services performed by other lawyers.
The kitchen is the heart of any home. It's where the family gathers. It's where kids discover old recipes and make them their own. Just starting out or just now getting started on the dream kitchen you've always wanted?
I'm Chris Haygood, and from all of us here at Bob Wallace Appliance to the home builders and the homeowners of the Huntsville area, a heartfelt thank you for buying local. We're in Huntsville, Florence, and Coleman, and online at bobwallaceappliance.com.
We cover all the SEC schools, including Western Union and Venmo.
I want that money!
You know, 97.7 ESPN The Zone.
Welcome back into the Morning Blitz. John Abraham, Captain Cool, alongside the Bandiman, Bailey Lowery. Hey. We just got done with a good little talking with the Drew DeArmond from Talking Ball. You guys can catch him 7 to 9. And it was presented by the wonderful people over at Mercury Motors and Alumni Hall. And kind of continuing on with the story around Alabama basketball, it really is just refreshing to see, a consistent kind of success coming from this program, because you look back on the past, in Alabama, of course, historically, Alabama football is the team you look to whenever you think about the Crimson Tide. But now the excitement really comes in the form of Alabama basketball on top of course, the new coach, Caleb DeBoer, coming in for the football team. But it's really bringing some type of excitement, some type of, I would say, resurgence in a form that, we see these players coming in. Of course, the one that we were talking about with the Drudy Armand was Cliff Amore. He's coming over from a Rutgers team in the Big Ten, a team that's competitive but really hasn't been able to showcase his abilities altogether. He is a 2-time Big Ten all-defensive team selection, and he's been averaging 10.5 points, 8.5 rebounds, and up to 3 blocks a game at Rutgers.
Love to see it.
And bringing this over to an Alabama team that desperately needed defensive help is absolutely huge for Nate Oates and the Crimson Tide. And I got to say that it makes sense for people to start transferring, moving to Alabama, as we saw Aiden Holiday even made his jump to the Crimson Tide, because you see the fan base that is around the football team, and you saw the fans show up for this basketball team when the time came. And I think that it's just going to be a huge jump in fan attendance for the basketball games, for everything Crimson Tide, because they don't just have one team. They're going to have 2 teams that are going to be stellar. And on top of that, they're going to have a baseball team that's going to go into the SEC tournament and surprise everybody. And on top of that, they're going to have a softball team that's going to be 9th seed, and they're going to be able to surprise everybody. Okay, we've seen it before. Why can't we see it again? Lots of intrigue around the Alabama Crimson Tide, and I love what I'm seeing on the defensive side of the ball over in the football realm as they are making their own acquisitions to bring in some of these players. But with the basketball team, it also intrigues me because the depth is really going to be there, Bandy.
Yeah.
And nowadays, it's interesting because there is the conversation of, well, Alabama could throw a bunch of money at Mark Sears, bring him back, and it would be great to see. I would love to see Mark Sears come back. But the thought that it has to be, headlined by money is the thing that kind of makes me think, where is college sports right now?
If I was Nate Oates, I'd just go up to Mark Sears like, hey, we got post protection. We got defensive help. Grant Nelson's coming back. Jared Stevenson's coming back.
You're going to get your money. You know that.
We made the Final Four last year. How does, instead of being like end of the first round, maybe start a second round draft pick instead of going up to like a mid first round, maybe even top 10 first round draft pick sound in 2025?
With a national championship possibly under your belt. I mean, that would also be that'd be another pretty big thing, to go into the NBA draft. But who knows? At this point, it's a little unclear. Some say he's definitely coming back. Some say they bet their house that he's coming back. I personally, I don't know if I'd go that far. Yep. He is one of the 78 players that's at this NBA Combine, he's tasting it. And once he kind of tastes it, it's hard to get back into the college feel. But who knows? College sports is a totally different game nowadays. And honestly, if I saw my team getting that much better and knowing that I'd have depth that's going to help me all the way throughout the run, I would take it. I'd come back. That's just me. I don't know. Either way, for me and the Bandiman, had a lot of fun on this Monday. Tuesday's going to be even better with the Tipsy Tuesday coming up. Joe Hunk will be in studio with us. But for me and the Bandiman, we'll see you guys in 23 hours. Can't wait. See ya.
Eagle Masonry and Installation. It's right there in the name. Eagle is your one-stop shop for block, stone, or brickwork, monument signs, and outdoor kitchens.